Hey everyone, welcome back. Dev stream is this Friday on May 27th, 2 PM EDT, our last one before TennoCon in July. We'll get sneak peeks on Echoes of Zariman, what's coming next, and our final two Incarnon weapons, a shotgun and a dagger. Today is another entry into our Focus 3.0 Synergy shenanigans. This one is pretty simple, which explains why the video was shorter. Remember my gun support Hildryn build from last year? Well, we're building a bit off of that today to make a standalone shoot and nuke build, viable for endless endurance and even level cap runs. I actually have another Hildryn concept besides this, so expect another Hildryn video in the coming weeks as well. The crux of this entire loadout is Focus 3.0 adding ability strength to operator nodes. We're taking the Matter Eye school for various reasons. First is our Sling Strength node. Dashing twice or more will trigger a 20-second buff that grants all ability casts 40% extra strength. It has no stacks, it's just a straight up 40% buff for 20 seconds. This fits very nicely with Hildryn gameplay since Megas Elevate counteracts any chip damage, which will also proc every time you reset the 20-second Sling Strength buff. You also have Void Strike and Void Fuel to deal with Demolists and Acolytes, but honestly that's self-explanatory. Going to Operator to set up Sling Strength will also proc Power Transfer, which is a built-in natural talent for Hildryn and makes her pillage spam a lot easier to use in the rotation for endurance. Now let's look at that Hildryn build. We have only changed 3 mods from the God support build, the replacement to EV Trin that does everything better. But that's not the video today. We actually dropped Blazing Pillage because it is an inconsistent crowd control tool and we already get more than enough shields off of enemies in Steel Path to gain overshields. Obviously this also means this kind of Hildryn is useless against Infested. You will only use it against Grineer, Corpus, and Corrupted factions. Don't straight up copy this build though, listen. There are a few things to discuss. The Muzzle Flash is the only reliable source of hard CC on the build, while maintaining full mobility, which is what Aegis Storm lacks. We have Rolling Guard to pair alongside Hildryn's natural 3-second shield gate. Yes, if her shields reach full, she has 3-second shield gate instead of 1.3. Toxin damage also cannot bypass her overshields when they're active, but because of how often we shoot Balefire and face high-level enemies in Endurance, you will not be able to guarantee overshields at all times. If you want an overshield focus build, check out my Gas Hildryn setup at the top right. But this 3-second shield gate can be easily achieved with a single pillage cast, because her pillage only takes around 2 seconds to cast fully before returning, and max shield gate lasts 3 seconds on Hildryn, so long as you have pillage cast active, you will never take HP damage outside of toxin damage. This is where the built-in natural talent for pillage spam comes in handy. Pressing your 2 early after casting will make it return even sooner. With 145 range, pillage starts with 11.6 meters radius, expands by 20 meters for every 1 second of duration we have, and we're at 1.45. So this gives pillage a 40.6 meter spherical 100% strip aura on cast, except it requires line of sight. But wait, I've slotted a new Arcane, Molt efficiency that came with Angels of the Zariman. This grants us 6% more duration per second, up to 36% max, so long as we have shields active. This is why Muzzle Flash is so important, because it is a non-line of sight blind that gives a hard crowd control to all enemies passively. An aura sticking to you that pulses out every 6 kills, whether by you or teammates with a shooting gallery buff active. We only have a 17.4 meter radius blind on Muzzle Flash, but with how fast you move and kill 100% stripped enemies, this will be proccing a lot. I actually went to test this solo in 1 hour Steel Path Void, and we managed to sit well above 100 kills per minute without ever relying on life support towers. Anyways, this 36% duration buff from Molt efficiency is massive because we're running a negative duration Hildryn. The lower your duration is, the more this Arcane matters. It boosts duration back up to 109, meaning pillage now expands for 2.18 seconds instead of 1.45. This extends the maximal radius of pillage to 55.2 meters instead of 40.6, or a 1.85 times more area in the flat circle. Or if you consider Hound's a sphere, despite line of sight requirements, it technically covers 2.51 times more volume. Essentially, this Arcane is an absolute massive buff to our armor strip region. You'll be able to even strip stuff outside of Muzzle Flash's blind range, which helps you kill the more distant threats regardless of blind. Growing Power combined with Matter Eye Sling Strength grants us 65% extra strength. While Growing Power only lasts 5 seconds, it will be easy to proc with a mini AoE of Balefire with multi-shot and how much you'll be spamming it. This means you need at least 335% strength to reach 100% strip on pillage, which is why we have 337 achieved with Amar's Hatred and the other strength mods. I opted for this one because it is the alternative to Power Drift, which has a useless second stat since we already have Prime Surefooted on. Also, Umbral Vitality will only get you to 333%, which isn't enough. But alternatively, if you want a 99.5% strip, you could run Umbral Vitality here or Augur Secrets rank 4. This will let you strip twice as needed if your shields drop again, though with how aggressive this Hildryn plays, you shouldn't have any problems getting shields back even on a 100% strip build. The only thing this changes is if you build Balefire for Viral on a 100% strip build or Corrosive on a 99.5% strip build. Up to you. Arcane Velocity will still proc despite Balefire having abysmal crit stats because it is of the AoE and number of shots you will spam and the long uptime of Velocity at 90% chance on crit for 9 seconds. Bring whatever you want for your primary, whether a pretty weapon or an actual rifle and not a shotgun, so that you can slot Amalgam Serration for more sprint speed. Your pistol is also irrelevant, so if you like it, you can slot Amalgam Barrel Diffusion for faster rolls. Augur sets are useless on Hildryn, so it doesn't matter there. Your melee though depends on what you want to do. I would recommend considering bringing a Vastalok here to armor strip enemies, but it's not too important. Optional for Acolytes, but I would strongly recommend for Demless if you're intending to take this Hildryn there so you're not entirely reliant on Pillage to strip Demolists. Take this Vastalok build, so you can strip armor and prime viral at the same time, pile on attack speed, and lasting sting for longer viral duration. Amalgam Organ Shatter is just here for faster windup if you accidentally heavy attack. But you could also consider more utility, like Praedos for the bullet jump and parkour velocity. Now, this is the Balefire. It's a generic corrosive build. It's meant for the 99.5% strip build on 333% strength, but if you're running 100% strip, replace Convulsion with Deep Freeze to make viral. The base AoE of Balefire is unlisted at 3 meters. It scales with Hildryn's range stat and is multiplicative to Blast Radius mods. Since our Hildryn only has stretch for 145 range and Prime Fulmination, the Blast Radius becomes 3 times 1.45 of range and 1.66 from Prime Fulmination for 7.22 meters blast radius, which is actually quite large. Don't think I need to say much else about this besides it not being worth charging the shot normally except for fancy lights. A charge shot costs 4 times as much shields to shoot, but only does 2 times the damage. You might as well just shoot 2 uncharged shots. And your pets? Whatever you want. I picked Panzer for the viral spread since Balefire doesn't spread status effectively. The infinite cat lives through devolution will also be helpful when you trigger Martyr Symbiosis since Hildryn's health is very small with no damage reduction. It will especially cover for those toxin hits that can one-shot her and leaves you with 0.25 seconds health gate for a fighting chance as your cat dies. In fact, Tech Assault has 60% chance of blocking fatal cat hits, including when it kills itself with Martyr Symbiosis. Martyr has a 30-second cooldown, but Tech Assault does not, so you can technically survive dying multiple times in a second if you're lucky. The rest of the build is your standard, Senseta does nothing on this build, and Radar plus Vacuum. Oh, and important, make sure you take off your Decay Dragon Key if you're using Shield Gate meta. It will both reduce her base shield and max shields with Pillage. It isn't fun spamming Pillage with 800 shield max and also having to cast Muzzle Flash. So, how to use? The first thing you should know is that Pillage strips through Overguard without removing it. Because Overguard is just a wall of health, and the AoE of Balefire has 0 falloff within that 7.22 meters, you will easily burst down the Overguard by just spamming shots in their general direction, and they will die instantly as soon as it drops since they won't have any armor. This also applies to Acolytes. You can strip the armor off, but Pillage can only strip shields or armor, not both, and shields take priority. Acolytes are also immune to the shield strip of Pillage, therefore you cannot strip Acolyte armor off until you have removed all of their shield with Balefire. This shouldn't be too hard though, as their shield is paper. Now, why did I suggest Vastalok? It's more so for Demlists, but with their nullifying pulse and fast movement speed, as well as all the other aggro you have from enemies, while Pillage is capable of stripping all Demlist armor off permanently, it is frequently easier to just spam your Vastalok than blow them up with Balefire, since you won't have to maintain constant line of sight during the pulse to tag the demo and making sure your 100% strip buffs are active. You'll also be priming viral while stripping, which is always handy with Vastalok. So long as you keep Muzzle Flash up, you have near infinite crowd control and survival, and mostly reliable crowd control and disruption. Basically, you always want to have Pillage actively casting out in longer runs so that even if your shields drop, in a moment you will get all your shields back plus overshield. If your shields pop and you don't have Pillage casted already, I strongly recommend having large shield pads on your gear wheel to use. A single large shield pad will give you enough to cast Pillage again. If your shield pops and you drop a pad, this would be the recovery rotation. Cast Pillage, as soon as it comes back, cast Pillage again. Then cast your Muzzle Flash and Balefire before it comes back a second time. This ensures you will always recover with full Overshield and Balefire active. Essentially, keep spamming Pillage every time it breaks until you're able to get Muzzle Flash back up and destroy everything with your Balefire. Bonus points for the longer enemies keep dropping your shield the more times you spam Pillage and strip their armor and make them a cakewalk once you finally get a DPS window to shoot your Balefire. This setup was strong enough to do 1 hour solo Steel Path Void and also level 9999 Disruption in a team comp. I had an absolute blast with this and I hope you do too. It has no problem stopping kills on the leaderboard. Here's to another useful new Angels of Zariman Arcane and more options made possible by Focus 3.0. The full strip Balefire Nuke Hildryn is finally here. Cheers! If this is your first time watching, feel free to leave a like or better yet subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. 79.5% of you are not subscribed. I'm trying my best to get you new information out always as soon as possible. Like I've done with covering the new Angels of Zariman update. Stick around if you want to see interesting memes and builds on a nearly daily basis. Don't want to miss out on any of that, do you? That'll be it for this video. Thank you all for watching and see you all next time.
I think she's really good. I enjoy her quite a bit. Admittedly, I still have to finish